G'day humans, welcome to Emma's Happy List. I'm Emma and this is the first ever episode. I'm super lucky today because I am joined by one of my very good friends, Ryan.
Hello there.
That's Ryan, that's his voice. You should know it by the end of the podcast. And today we are going through the very first item in my happy list. And Ryan has kindly brought a little entry of his own. But we happen to be in a very good mood today because we spent the entire afternoon planting trees. So I particularly think it's very good for your endorphins. What about you?
Yeah, it is. We planted 70 altogether. So yeah, definitely really good endorphin boost and lifts your mood, especially with everything that's going on at the moment.
Oh yeah,
we won't say that. We won't say the C word.
It's a pretty crazy time at the moment. C word as in crazy.
As in coronavirus.
As in crazy.
Okay.
So it's a pretty crazy time at the moment and everybody needs a little pick-me-up, a little smile on their face. So this is one way to get that. Mm-hmm. So without further ado, shall we go into the very first item on the happy list?
On yours or mine?
On mine.
On yours, okay.
It's called Emma's happy list, right? Ryan's happy list. So I'm just opening up my actual physical journal right now. Where I started this happy list a couple of years ago. And if you've not listened to the intro already, I started my happy list. It's actually, the title is Things That Make Me Happy. Because I was feeling quite not so happy. I want to avoid like negative terms, do you know what I mean? So I'm going to just say not so happy. And when I get like that, I find it really difficult to remember what makes me happy. Do you ever feel like that?
Yeah. Definitely, I think most people get like that. Actually, I think once you get stuck in that little negative mindset, you're almost in a rut and you're almost pulling upon negative things, and emphasizing negative things rather than thinking about what actually makes you happy and what to get yourself back into that positive state.
Yeah,
Sometimes.
and I think that's kind of, so I'd started doing a lot of like mindfulness and meditation, and so paying attention to like my thoughts. And I was like, actually, I have a choice here. What actually makes me happy, though? So every time something good happened, or every time something made me happy, I decided to add it to the list. It's quite a hefty list now, and it keeps getting bigger, even though I forget to add things sometimes. But the first item on the list is, drum roll, please. Thank you. What was that? The first item is floating in water. You look super underwhelmed.
I wasn't expecting that.
You weren't expecting
I wasn't expecting that, no. I don't know why. Just floating in water. Well, it is a nice thing, actually, though.
It's like my top thing, I think, which is probably why it's the number one thing on my list.
Yeah, I do like doing that. I think I did it in Three Cliffs Bay this summer, actually. Well, not
Three
this
Cliffs
summer, last
is,
summer.
just for reference, myself and Ryan are from South Wales. And Three Cliffs Bay is a beautiful bay down the Gower. You should definitely Google it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was, I think it was like August time. So, it was really hot. It was lovely. And I just remember I was laying there just looking up at the sky, blue sky, just floating in the water. And I was thinking, yeah, this is amazing. This is what life is about.
Yeah, that's exactly it.
Now you said that, I think, yeah, it's definitely a good thing.
Yeah, and do you know what? My favourite place to float, I know my favourite place to float as well. Is that weird? I like floating everywhere, but my favourite place to float is Lake Garda in Italy. So the water there is like super clean and it feels really silky, and you can just like go on your back. And I should mention as well that I get quite severe back pain, so floating in water just like really takes all that away as well. It's like one of the only times that I feel like really relaxed and my whole body is super relaxed. But you can float around in Lake Garda and you can look up and it's like surrounded by these beautiful mountains, and I just love the feeling of like my hair and everything being all crazy around me and just floating like all over my back and stuff like that. So that is my number one thing, floating in water. But I feel like I've always been a bit of a water person. Like I've always been a bit of a water baby. Like swimming when you were a kid, How did you feel about swimming when you were a kid?
I was a bit of a nightmare actually because I used to like.
Why am I not surprised?
Yeah, I used to kind of run in the water.
Bomb.
Yeah, no, like I remember my father came and had to like drag me out of the water before because I was like swimming like far out. Like I don't know how old I was at this point, but I'm guessing I was quite young. And I just kept going like further and further out, and he had to like run in and drag me out of the water because I was probably in danger in my life.
Speaking of which,
yeah.
So this reminds me of a really funny story with my Bamps, right? My Bampy. So he can't swim, but he used to take me and my brother on like caravanning holidays, and I remember we were in the Isle of Wight, and we were in the swimming pool, and I'm a little madam. I was a little madam, I should correct myself. And I knew my Bampy couldn't swim, so I used to go swim deeper and deeper and deeper into the deep end, and I'd be like treading water in the deep end. He'd be like, Emma, get over here! I can't save you, Emma! So yeah, I was a little shit, to be honest with you, but it's something we laugh about now, and I'm a very good swimmer now. So I think it's because I tested. I probably gave my Bampy more grey hairs than he deserved.
Okay, so have I got to tell you my happy thing now, have I?
Yes, please do.
Okay.
Please do.
Okay. So this one was an easy one for me, actually. I haven't got a happy list, right? So I'm going to admit that now. I know. But since you've said it and you told me to get this happy thing, so I've got a happy thing and I will get a happy list, I promise.
Are you going to start a happy list as of like today?
This is on my to-do list. Yeah, it's on my to-do list.
Your to-do
right
list
at the
is
top.
probably like
it's right
6
at the top.
pages
No,
long.
it's right at the top. It is. So my happy thing is the feeling of walking onto the beach when the sun is out. And you're walking onto the beach, you're feeling a light breeze, maybe even a little bit of cold, actually, just because you're getting all the sensations. You're getting the sunlight, you're getting the cold, you're getting the little breeze as well. Some of the sand's moving across. And the sun's only in the mornings. Actually, the mornings is the best time because it's like the sun is quite low enough in the sky that it's shining right away across the water, and it's just lighting the whole. Yeah, it's just glistening. It's just lighting the water up, and also when the tide is in at that time as well. So it's just the waves are crashing. It's just amazing. It is like for me, it's one of the best feelings. I think just walking on there, seeing that, and any kind of trouble you've got in the world just drops away like that instantly.
Absolutely. I feel like our first happy list items are related. Mm-hmm. Do you know what I mean?
Beaches.
Because usually, although I do love floating in water, it's usually in the sea, which means I have to walk through the sand.
Yeah. I'm
one of these people as well. Like, lots of people hate the sand. They absolutely hate sand. Oh my gosh, I love the sand in between my toes. I literally, I'm like a little chimp when I go on the when I go on the beach, like when my toes proper grabbing at the sand. But I totally agree with you, and I think part of it as well. So I feel like because we are from a place with so many beaches, part of it sort of ingrained in us when we were younger. Like, you have to appreciate this, you have to appreciate that.
And not even so much the fact that we were born here and live here and things. I think anybody can really take a lot from it and get that positive vibe. There's a guy that I met I think it was last year actually, and he was going through a really, really terrible, a bad time. There was a lot of stuff going on, and I was down the beach this night because something just big had happened in my life as well. So I'd gone down there to kind of just clear my head, clear my mind. And this guy was walking along with a guitar, and I scared him because he didn't see me, just standing
he saw
there.
Your face.
Yeah, he saw my face. He's even lurking in the darkness.
That's the joke.
But
Ryan is very handsome.
He was walking past with his guitar, and he stopped, and we had a chat, and we both talked about the stuff that we had going on and things like that. And he was from, I think he said he was from Merthyr, and it's not too far from us, Merthyr. It's probably about 45 minutes to an hour drive, something like that.
Yeah.
But I think he'd said I don't know if he'd ever been to a beach at all. He'd definitely never been to Swansea Beach, but I don't think he'd actually been to a beach at all in his life.
That's crazy.
And with all the stuff that was going on, he said he's got in his car one day and just drove down to Swansea and went down the beach, and he said it was just everything about it in the nighttime. This was as well, so everything about him walking down there with his guitar, playing, walking along the beach with the waves crashing and, you know, the cold air and stuff like that. He just said it just changed him. He said it, and he comes down most nights, actually, I think, because there's other people who I've spoken to who have actually met this guy.
Yeah.
So I think most evenings he does come down all the way from where he lives in, like, Merthyr or wherever, just to spend time on the beach, because it's that therapeutic to him and it really calms him down.
I have a very, very specific memory from when I was a child. I think I must have been like 6 or 7 years old. And we were in the car, me, my mum, my dad, and my brother. And it was the first time, so my parents, we were talking about the beach actually. I think we were on our way to Ilfracombe or something like that. We were talking about the seaside, we were talking about the beach. And they told me, you know, some children don't live near a beach. And I remember, I was like quite young. I was like, what? I was like, how is that possible? Obviously, like a tiny little brain at the time. Not realising like the earth and the size of land. I was like, what do you mean? And my parents were like, yeah, they have to drive like 3, 4, 5 hours to get to a beach. And I was like, whoa. I was like, that's crazy. And I couldn't get over it in my head because it's such like an integral part of like growing up by the sea, isn't it? Like you're like on the beach constantly.
I met a guy from London and the same thing. He said, you know, he's never seen a beach, and I went, I didn't really register at first when I was speaking to him, and then we carried on talking, and I stopped and I went, hold on, I went, what do you mean you've never seen a beach? And yeah, it just I wasn't expecting it. Do you know what I mean? It's you know, I think you do forget when you live by the seaside. So
yeah. But that's good though, because it means that people who've never been to a beach, that go to a beach, love the beach. People who live by the beach and go to the beach, love the beach. So there's definitely something about being by a beach, being on a beach.
So
like
basically we're telling people to go to a beach.
Yeah. I mean, that, like, if you were to start a happy list today, which I thoroughly recommend you do, maybe an item on your happy list is go to the beach and float in water.
Yeah, absolutely. Maybe that's a challenge for everybody listening to this. How about that?
It could be.
It could be.
Should we start a hashtag for this?
Okay.
Like, obviously the podcast is called Emma's Happy List, but I feel like that's very egocentric if I make that the hashtag. So what about something like share your happy list?
Ooh, okay.
How do you feel about that?
I feel great. It's your podcast. You take it.
It is Emma's Happy List, after all. I feel like, if you are going to go to the beach and float in water or do anything else that you want to add to your happy list, use the hashtag share your happy list.
Nice. I like it.
Yeah?
Absolutely. I'm going to share my happy list tonight.
Yes, that's a good idea. So I'm not going to set up a social channel specifically for Emma's happy list because I already have a personal one and a business one, and if I have one more social account that I need to deal with, I may not have a happy list after all. So rather than doing that, you guys can get a little insight into Emma's life, which is a happy list in itself most days.
You have got a happy social media account, actually.
It is very happy. It's full of dogs and which are obviously happy. That's like a spoiler alert because that's inevitably going to come up. Dogs and snow, yeah, two very happy things, which will inevitably come up. So big spoiler alert there. Thanks, Rye. Just kidding. But you can get an insight. So the handle is that's the handle, obviously, EXLP. And those are my initials, sort of.
On Instagram.
On Instagram, yes. So that concludes, I feel, the first episode of Emma's Happy List. You've got a couple of action points to take away from you. And until the next time, peace out.
Thank you for inviting me.
Sorry. Thanks, Ryan. Thanks for contributing. Hope you come back. Okay, bye, guys.